Good to all of you. I'm Mr. Vignesh Ranarajan. I'm the lecturer, Department of Accounting, University of Jaffna. Also, good morning to you all. I'm Mr. Vignesh Ranarajan, lecturer, Department of Accounting, University of Jaffna. I'm the lecturer for this course unit from ACF 32033, Advanced Business Taxation, third in Commerce, 2017-18 academic year. In this course unit, we are going to study the following major sections: individual income tax calculation, partnership income tax calculation, then companies income tax calculation. After that, income tax calculation of charitable institution, clubs, and trade association, value added tax, and economic service charge calculation. Then after we will study tax administration. These are our syllabus on this course unit. I already uploaded some handouts in the LMS. I hope that you already went through that handout and that available reading materials on LMS for this course unit. I would like to share this video uh, on handout number 1. I divided handout number 1 in several parts. The first part, employment income calculations. So the first thing we are going to this is handout number 1. Uh, resident individuals income tax calculation. For this resident individual income tax calculation under this, the first things we are going to discuss how to calculate the employment income. Under that employment income, there are several income under the assessable income. Actually, in the calculation of income tax of an individual, according to the Inland Revenue Act from the year of assessment 2018-19, there are only two kind of income. The one is assessable income, other one is a taxable income. The previous act stated three types of income: total statutory income, assessable income, then taxable income. But from 2018-19 year of assessment, we are having only two types of income. The first one is assessable income, then taxable income. If you take the assessable income of an individual, there are four major income under the assessable income. The first one is the employment income, then investment income, then business income. After that, other source of income. These are the income under the assessable income of an individual. The first we are going to discuss about employment income. If you take individual, they are working in a private company or government organization, they are working, so they will get the employment income. So they have to pay on their employment income. They have to pay tax on their employment income. So according to the Inland Revenue Act, as per the Inland Revenue Act, employment means a position of an individual in the employee of another person. A position of an individual as manager of an entity. A position of an individual entitling the individual to a fixed or any remuneration from the other person for their service. Then a public office held by an individual. Public office held by an individual. These are the definition provided by Act. If you take employment income, usually we know under the employment income, we may receive cash benefit as well as non-cash benefit. There are two benefits, cash benefits and non-cash benefits. If you take the simple understanding of employment income, any individual if receive any benefits from the employer for their employment, that will be considered as an employment income. That can be divided into two benefits. The first one is the cash benefits and non-cash benefits. The cash benefits mean some benefits you will receive as a monetary terms. You will receive as money. That will be considered as a cash benefits. For an example, you can take simply salary. You will receive the salary in terms of money. Some allowances, that will be considered as a cash benefits. So I already provided in the handouts what's the meaning of cash benefits: payment of salary, wages, leave pay, overtime pay, fees, pensions, commissions, bonus, and other similar payments. Here we have to consider these cash benefits for the income tax calculation purpose. That cash benefits and non-cash benefits will be considered on accrual basis other than bonus. Only bonus will be rated as a cash basis. Other benefits will be rated on accrual basis. For an example, if we worked for the year of assessment 2018-19 for 12 months, but you received only 6 months salary, another 6 months you did not receive. However, you are having liability. You have to pay tax for the 12 month salary. That is accrual basis. But if you take the bonus, the company or board of director declared bonus for the year of assessment 2018-19, but up to 31st March 2019 they did not pay. So you know the tax will be calculated based on the year of assessment. Every year of assessment will be started with the 1st April and will be ended with the 31st March. So for the year of assessment 2018-19, the board of directors declared bonus. However, they did not pay up to 31st March, so that the employee not liable for the income tax on that bonus because he did not receive. So only bonus should be considered according to the cash basis. Other benefits will be considered on the accrual basis. So under the cash benefits, there are several benefits, as well as there are a number of non-cash benefits. You can take a very simple example. When we are working for an organization, the organization will provide non-cash benefit as well. Sometimes free resident facilities for their employees. Sometimes free transport or vehicle facilities for their employees. That will be considered as a non-cash benefits. So that non-cash benefits should be calculated based on the Inland Revenue Act. So we have to follow Inland Revenue Act to calculate the non-cash benefits. Under the non-cash benefits, the important things we have to focus some area. The first one, taxable value of the provision of hotel facilities for provision of servants, etc., provision of electricity and gas, provision of medical benefits, provision of free meals, air tickets, is 100% is the cost. if he received any kind of non-cash benefits, like for an example, company paid the one employee electricity bill. So that is a non-cash benefit. If company paid electricity bill, that amount should be considered as an income of that individual. Second one is a taxable value telephone bill is only 50% of the amount paid. Here we have to consider the important understanding we should have regarding this one. The thing is, when we receive as an allowance telephone, that 100% telephone allowance should be included in the employment income calculation. But if company paid the employees telephone bill directly to that particular service provider, only 50% paid amount will be considered as an income of that individual. Then payment of tax by the employer is the amount of tax paid. For an example, Mr. Kumar is working for ABC PLC. ABC PLC paid Kumar's income tax. That amount should be considered as income for Kumar under the employment income. Then, if any loans, it needs to be taken as 50% difference between the concessionary rate and the market rate specified annually by the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue for the year of assessment 2018-19. Market rate specified by Commissioner General Inland Revenue is 9.08%. Only that is applicable for the year of assessment 2018-19. Each and every year, that percentage will be decided and will be revised by the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue Department. And taxable value of payment of dental, medical, or health insurance is 100% of the cost. That means if company paid insurance, life insurance, or any insurance for their employees, that amount should be considered as income. Then that employees should pay tax on that contribution made by that company. However, if such discharge or reimbursement is with regard to dental, medical, or health insurance expenses, which is applicable to all full-time employees on equal terms, then it is excluded from the employment income. That means here we have to have the better understanding regarding the insurance contribution. If company made equal amount contribution to all the employees, that will be considered as a same policy to all employees. If there is a general or same policy for all employees, that will not be taken as an income of that individual. If company paid one employee different rates contribution, one employee, another employee different rate contribution, then that amount should be taken for the taken as a employment income. Then the payments made or benefits to employees on non-discriminatory basis, that by reason of their size, type, and frequency are unreasonable or administratively impractical for the employer to account for or to allocate the individual, then it is to be excluded from the employment income. So basically, we should have the better understanding. In the case of non-cash benefits, we have to focus very carefully Inland Revenue Act, because Act provided how to calculate non-cash benefit for an individual. The cash benefits generally all of we are having better understanding, because the most of the cash benefits will be included in the employment income. But pension will not be considered as employment income because pension is one of the exempt employment income. So that will not be a part of an individual income tax calculation. Here, next, I provided resident benefit provided by the employer. Resident benefit also one of the non-cash benefits. So we have to calculate that resident benefit based on the Inland Revenue Act. Very clearly stated how to calculate. According to the Act, the remunerations of individual or employee will be divided as a two major part. The first one, if monthly remuneration is less than or equal to Sri Lankan rupees 200,000. Then another category is if monthly remuneration is more than Sri Lankan rupee 200,000. Then there are three variety of residents. Sometimes the company or the employer may provide resident facilities in the rated area, sometime in the unrated area, sometime in the estate bungalow. If any employee's remuneration is equal to the monthly remuneration is equal to the 200,000 or below 200,000, if company provided or employer provided resident to that below 200,000 or monthly 200,000 equal salary employee in the rated area, LKR 20,000 or 12.5% of the remuneration, whichever is less, that should be considered as a monthly benefits of that particular employee. If company provided in unrated area for that level of income people, LKR 15,000 or 10% of the remuneration, whichever is less, will be considered as a monthly benefits of that employee. For an example, you can take ABC PLC provided free resident to Mr. Kumar for the year of assessment 2018-19 in unrated area. Mr. Kumar's monthly remuneration is equal to 150,000. For an example, you can take. Then here you can see that the minimum amount according to the Inland Revenue Act 15,000 or 10% of the remuneration. Kumar received monthly remuneration 150,000. So 150,000 into 10%, 15,000. The minimum amount also 15,000. Both are same. So 15,000 will be considered as a monthly benefit for that employee. So 15,000 into 12, 180,000 will be included in the employment income as free resident benefit. Then if company or employer provided resident in the estate bungalow, that will be calculated according to the Act, LKR 10,000 per month or 7.5% of the remuneration, whichever is less. We have to consider 10,000 or 7.5% of the remuneration, whichever is less will be taken as a monthly benefit. Then we have to multiply by 12. Another category of remuneration or another threshold or level of remuneration, which is if monthly remuneration is more than what do you call LKR 200,000, if company or employer provided in the rated area, the monthly benefit should be considered as a 40,000 or 12.5% of the remuneration, whichever is less. You can take a very simple example for this one. Mr. Kamal he is an employee. He is a employer for XYZ Private Limited. The XYZ company provided a resident to Kamal for the year of assessment 2018-19, which resident is available in the rated area. Kamal monthly remuneration is 300,000. Then we have to calculate his benefits on from that resident. In this case, the minimum the amount is 40,000 or 12.5% of the remuneration, whichever is less. Then 40,000 is per month or 12.5% of the remuneration. Then 12.5% into 300,000. Then 37,500. Then we have to compare 40,000 with the 37,500. Whichever is less, that amount should be taken as a benefit for that employee. So 37,500 is a monthly benefit for that that employee for that year of assessment. Like that, if company or employer provided in unrated area, LKR 30,000 is the minimum amount, or 10% of the remuneration, whichever is less, will be taken as a benefit from the resident. Then, if any resident provided in the estate bungalow, LKR 20,000 or 7.5% of the remuneration, whichever is less, will be taken. Sometimes company will provide some resident with the furniture, that means additional benefits. If the resident is provided with furniture, 2.5% of the remuneration or rupees 5,000, whichever is less, should be taken into account. That is a additional benefit. We already discussed how to calculate the resident benefit. That is a separate one. If company provided resident with the facilities like furniture, then we have to consider additional 2.5% of the remuneration or 5,000, whichever is less, that will be considered as a monthly benefits for that employee. Any expenditure reimbursed by the employer in connection with a house or apartment occupied by the employee, the actual cost of the employer is the value of the benefit. Sometimes company may make the payment for our house maintenance. That amount should be considered as one of the benefits, because usually we know if we are having the repairs or house maintenance expenses, that should be met by the particular owner or particular individual. But if company paid that amount, that is one of the benefits. So we have to include that amount in our assessable income calculation under the employment income. Then we need to pay the tax on that. Then second important one is the transport benefits provided by employer. This table very clearly states how to calculate the transport benefits, or if vehicle benefits provided by the employer. All the benefits included in this table for the month, per month the benefits included. The vehicle, if company or employer provided vehicle, that vehicle divided based on CC cylinder capacity, or they are that power capacity. According to the act, there are two category of vehicles. The first one is not more than 1,800 cc fuel or hybrid, petrol or diesel. Under this category, not more than 200 kilowatts electrical vehicles. The second category is more than 1800 cc vehicle or more than 200 kilowatts electrical vehicles. There are three possibilities. Sometimes company or employer will provide only vehicle, sometimes only fuel, sometimes they will provide only driver. Sometimes they will provide vehicle, fuel and driver. So in this case, if any employee received below or not more than 1800 cc vehicle only, the monthly benefit is 20,000. If he received the fuel only, monthly benefit is 20,000. If he received driver benefits, monthly benefits is 10,000. The second category is if any employee received more than 1800 cc vehicle. In this situation, if he received only vehicle, monthly benefit is 35,000. If he received only fuel, monthly benefit is 30,000. If he received only driver facilities, only 10,000 will be considered as a monthly benefit. Sometime there is a possibility. We can take a very simple example. Mr. Kumar is an employee of ABC PLC. ABC PLC provided 1500 cc vehicle with a fuel and driver for the year of assessment 2018-19. Then, if we want to calculate the vehicle benefits for that particular year of assessment, then we have to consider the category of vehicle, because in according to that there are two category. One is above 1800 cc, another one is below 1800 cc. So the employee received 1500 cc, no? So we have to take below 1800 cc vehicle category. Then he received with a fuel and driver. Then we have to consider 20,000 for the vehicle, another 20,000 for the fuel, another 10,000 for the driver. Altogether 50,000 benefit will be considered per month. So for that particular year of assessment, 50,000 into 12, 600,000 should be included as a income under the non-cash benefit. Under the non-cash benefit. Then another category that is a very simple understanding, motorbike. If company provided or employer provided motorbike with a fuel per month 5,000, without fuel per month 3,000. That will be considered as a monthly benefit of that employee. If an employee provided with more than one vehicle for official or private use, only one vehicle should be considered as provided for the for private use and as a benefits from the employment for pay tax purpose. Only one benefits will be considered. When the employer maintains records in respect of vehicles or bicycles provided by employer, the benefit is LKR 25 or LKR 5 per kilometer, as a case may be irrespective of the engine capacity of the vehicle. For an example, that you can understand very simply. Sometimes vehicle maintenance, vehicle usage record will be maintained by the organization. If such procedure is available, Then we have to calculate the benefits on that according to the how many kilometers used by that employee. If he use any vehicles, that means that four wheels vehicles, 25 rupees will be considered as a per kilometer benefit. For an example, if he used 1000 kilometer per month, then 1000 into 25 rupees, then 25,000 will be considered as a monthly benefit of that employee. Sometime if employee use a motorbike, then per kilometer benefits is 5 rupees. So any expenditure incurred by the employer in respect of fuel or maintenance of any motor vehicle or bicycle, the actual cost to the employer is the value of benefit. Sometimes we will use our vehicle for official and private use. Sometimes company will give the maintenance allowances or some reimbursement for expenses made to maintain the vehicles. Then that amount spent by the employer, that amount will be considered as one of the benefit for the employee. So that should be included in the employment income. Then we need to pay tax on that that benefit. So today I wanted to discuss the important things under the employment income. So under this handout, I wanted to discuss what is the assessable income and what are the incomes included under the assessable income. Then employment income, what is the meaning of employment. Then I discussed cash benefits, how to calculate the cash benefits, what are the benefits will be considered as a cash benefits. Then I discussed non-cash benefits, how to calculate the non-cash benefits, especially telephone allowances and telephone bill payment. Then we discussed bonus, how to calculate the bonus for the taxation. Then we discussed the resident benefit provided by employer. After that, I discussed transport benefits provided by the employer. These are the things we discussed in this handout up to now. The rest of the part, I hope that we will discuss later. I hope that you can understand this handout because I already uploaded in the LMS. I prepared very simple format from that. If you want to refer more, you have to refer Inland Revenue Act 2017 based on the Act number 2017. Act 2017. I included or I prepared this handout. So if you want to get more understanding, it is better to refer that act, which is available in the website of the Inland Revenue Department. I already included that website link in this LMS for this course unit. The rest of the part we will discuss later. If you have any question or any doubts or any things want to clarify, you can contact with me through the available resources or facilities. I will try to give my best for your more understanding. Uh, Another lecturer for this course unit, Dr. Ramesh sir, uh, he will also provide some part of lectures of this course unit, and he will uh, discuss some part of this course unit in later. Two lecturer allocated or assigned for this course unit. The first one is Dr. Ramesh sir and Mr. V. Anoj and myself. I hope that to provide more understanding for this course unit, we will meet with the next video recording for this course unit very soon. Hope that stay at home very safe. Thank you very much.